So to give you guys, for those who weren't there, and we did a little intro before. This is Rich. He's a speedrunner from Australia. You've been running. How long have you been running Ocarina of Time now? It's been like close to 3 years.
Oh, that's a good question. I started taking Ocarina of Time seriously about March 2017. I started streaming in February 2017, but I was mostly messing around with with emulator and all that kind of stuff.
All right,
So
like 2.5.
when I got
maybe?
my Wii, is when I started doing the Ocarina of Time. Oh, by the way, I can hear myself echo a little bit on your side.
I can see that too. Yeah, it's coming through my headphones into the microphone.
Oh,
Which is crazy with these headphones that's happening, but which means I think people are hearing a double of it too, but I'll try to.
yeah, that's okay. I mean, with these things, there's always like little tweaks we have to make to make it happen.
Maybe I can. Oh, you know what I can do? I can turn down my sensitivity here for a second, so it just doesn't pick it up. 1 second. Voice video. I'll turn the sensitivity up. Oh, no. I know why it's happening. We got to do that. Okay. It was being picked up. The sound was being picked up by my webcam, that's what I thought. Okay, that's strange. The sound quality for you should have just improved.
Yeah, it just did now. Yeah, before it sounded a little bit echoey, and now it sounds a little bit clearer.
Okay. Oh wait, you guys can see this. It was because I had a different input. I was using my webcam mic, which sucks.
That's okay, man. Thank you for doing that.
Okay, this should be. Is it better? Can you still hear yourself?
I can't hear myself now, and you sound a lot clearer. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem.
Oh man.
All right, so you've been speedrunning a bunch. Before that, you were doing pool. You're sort of just like all into everything you do. You go all in, and you go hard with it.
Yeah, I would say it just comes down to just like if I find something that I enjoy, I want to do it to the best of my ability, or at least try to do it to the best of my ability. It doesn't mean that I always get it right. Like, we all make mistakes. Sometimes we don't have the right information or the right mentors or even the right timing to do things. But I found that if I found something that I really enjoy, I'm more likely to work hard at it. And that's why it seems like I work so hard or I put so much effort in. In reality, for me, it doesn't feel like work when you're having fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's definitely challenging, but the point is like, yeah, if you find something that you enjoy, like I'm sure you guys in the chat would probably agree with me that time just flies. Like I think when I streamed yesterday for like 5 hours, like 5 hours went like that for me. But if I wasn't enjoying it, 5 hours would feel like infinity. So I'm sure you feel the same way about music.
Yeah, I feel the same way about music and also about streaming too. I brought that up last stream when it was going on for just like way too long, and I hadn't eaten anything, and I was like, I tried to use that as an example of like, guys, if my words don't mean much, then I hope this does. That like, as long as people are here and having fun, and I'm enjoying streaming and stuff, like I can go forever. And again, it'll be like, oh, 7 hours just went by. I haven't eaten, but I didn't even think about it. And it's like I just having a good time and enjoying.
I'm glad you got the subway.
Yeah, that was
who
clutch.
wanted to do the subway?
That was Dimples. Yeah, thank you,
Dimples. Good job. And Schnapp, while we're here, man, can I just congratulate you on 2 years of streaming? Guys, can we get some love in the chat for Schnapp? Like seriously, like, it's kind of crazy how like we go back to our very first Skype call, and like we talked about this the last call, so I won't go too deep into it. But wow, man, like from that call, our Skype call, the private call that nobody saw except like only you and me were there, to was it the 1 year call we did on your 1 year anniversary call, and now it's the 2 year, and since then you went from playing guitar on Skype to me and Skater to getting affiliated and growing your stream to now Twitch partner, full-time streamer, traveling the world, going to speedrunning events, TwitchCon events. you know, sharing your passion and creativity with people. And I want to congratulate you on that, man. Like you've really, really, really put in the hours. Like as a fellow streamer and somebody who's seen you, like even behind the scenes, like people don't see our private talks behind the scenes. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when you're done streaming, it's not over. Like you finish stream and you're looking at your metrics. You finish stream, you're thinking about that thing you said 2 hours ago that maybe, oh, you know, that probably wasn't the best thing. Or that person who comes into your stream and you're like, oh, you know, like, you know, I got to be a bit more careful. And there's like a million thoughts running on at the same time. So I just want to like let you know, like I really, really admire what you've done, man. And like to meet you this year, we met.
That was
Guys,
crazy.
chat, we
I know,
actually
I
met.
know, I know.
Actually, did you want to tell everyone like the story of like we physically met IRL at the airport?
I mean, we said I just like it was really interesting because they were just waiting for their bags at the airport. We arrived all like basically at the same time. You guys saw, some of you, Smash Mac was in here. And a bunch of us just arrived at the airport, and it was like I just saw Rich over there, and it was like it was interesting meeting you. And this happens with some people. It happened with Kaylee too, but some people I meet them and it doesn't feel like there's this weird sense of almost like being starstruck. That's always the closest thing. Sometimes you meet people that you've seen from streams and stuff, and like you don't look at them and like, oh my god, this person's famous, so therefore I'm starstruck. It's just that similar feeling of like, oh, this is weird. I feel like I know this person, but with you, I felt like it was different. But yeah, it was just wild. Rich and I got to hang out for a week in Minnesota, California, and play games and hang out, eat Subway, and
oh man, that was surreal. I'll tell you guys my very quick version. So Kyle, one of my best friends, Kyle, we just flew from Boston to Minneapolis. We got to, it was at St. Paul Airport, right? And we got off and we're all messaging each other on Discord. Thank God for Discord, by the way. Like it's such a great communication app. And I messaged Snaf. I'm like, hey, I'm at Terminal 1 or whatever it was. I don't remember what it was called. And he said, oh, I'm at the same place. I'll meet you there. And I was standing with Kyle. I saw some other people from Twitch that I recognized. And in the corner of my eye, I saw a guitar case. And I looked over and it's Snaf with like walking like this with his guitar. And he's looking for us. And I'm pretty sure I screamed Snaf or something like that. And you looked at me and I'm like, oh my God, he's here. And like we walked up to each other. And just like Snaf said, it didn't feel like we hadn't met before. You know, like all the interactions on Twitch and Discord and Skype, like hanging out in the chats, like when you meet them in real life, it's just like you just talked yesterday. Except now you have this physical element, and you're like, wow, you know, Snaf's the same height as me.
Is that too? Is that too? Everyone, yeah. Dude, height is way bigger than like people may think. That was Skater's first thing to me. He was the first person I met like from the internet. And
wow. That must have been so cool.
And the first thing he says, I get out of the Uber, we give each other a hug, and he like steps back and then looks at me and he goes, Snef, I thought you'd be taller. It's like, what the fuck, dude? What the? Like, okay. Skater and I are like the same height, but I guess he thought I was just like much taller.
I remember when you were at Skater's house and you guys did the streams and you were playing Mario Party. That was surreal for me. Like as a viewer at the time, like, you know, we'd only just become friends, but seeing you with Loons Gaming, was it? And
yeah,
the three
Braden,
of you were playing Mario
Loons,
Party together. Yeah, that was amazing. And yeah, dude, like just meeting people in real life. By the way, hi Claire, good to see you. It was magical, and I will say, like spending an entire week with Snaf, I got to see a side of him that I knew was there, but I got to see it in person. You know, like he treats people with so much respect. He's very friendly. He's funny. Like you know, a couple funny memories that me and Snap know about. And it just meant so much to me to like we went from like playing poker on a Skype call to 2.5 years later going to the same event that we talked about the year before, but I didn't get to go. But then I said, you know what, I will come next year, I promise. And you know, I ended up going. It was really outside my comfort zone to do it. You know, I never flew to another country by myself. That was my first time doing a solo trip. I've always flown with family or friends. But having Snaf there and Kyle and Barry and other people like with me and other people from Twitch, it lets me realize that community is so important, and if you're around like people who care about you and like give you the right advice and like just make you feel comfortable as a person, we can feel very grateful in life. And
Whoops.
man, dude, I remember when you got partnered, man. That was probably the best news I heard in a while.
Thanks, dude. It was definitely quite the journey. And like the fact that both of us, so like the between SGDQ 2018 and 2019, first it seemed like forever away. You're like, dude, I'm gonna go to Summer Games done quick, but then you're like, I gotta like change of plans. I can't do it this year. We'll go 2019. It's like, dude, 2019. That's never gonna happen. Like that's just way too far away. But then it eventually happened. It's like so much had changed between them.
Man.
We both went there as Twitch partners for one. Like,
I couldn't believe it, man. Like, I got partnered, then you got partnered, and what a year 2019 has been. Like, and what a year, dude. Like, I still remember just watching you smash it, man. Like, there are many times I recall because like you stream, like when I just wake up or things like that, right? And I'll look at how long you've been streaming for. It'd be like 5 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, like day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. Then you have like your rest days. But damn, man, talk about hard work, dude. Like, what it was like going from 0 viewership to 20 viewership to 50 viewership to like partner, ups in viewership, lower viewership. Like, that's a lot to take in, man. I can only imagine like what it was like for you to just go through that process. Like, my question to you, man, is, compared to when we were even considering the idea of partner, like we even barely considered it back then. Like our last call, we were like, oh, maybe we'll push for partner. And now it's like, dude, like that journey, man, like what was it like for you to just finally attain the goal?
Well, the whole thing was crazy. That's right. It never seemed real at all. And I remember when Claire got partnered and came into
I'll close my window.
Stream.
Sorry.
Oh
sorry.
no, yeah, go for it.
Somebody's doing the gardening.
That's right, because it is.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, man.
What is it like?
I just realized I didn't want you guys to hear all gardening. Sorry about that.
It's like 11 a.m. where you are, right?
11:21 a.m.
11:21, yeah.
Doing gardening and stuff.
Yeah. So these people, like, Claire came in and she had a check mark, one that looks better than these badges now. Sorry, Twitch. I don't know what the deal. And everyone was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Like, congrats, Claire. And then people are like, "Wait, Schnaf, like, what's going on? Where's your check mark?" And I was like, "I don't know." And it didn't seem like, even at that point, it didn't seem possible. And then people started getting behind my back and helping with the channel in a lot of different ways. And so it was like really weird, because I went in the course of one night from having the mindset like, oh, this is never going to happen. It's not like, I don't even care. I didn't even really care. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't really looking at numbers that way. It was just like, dude, I'm so far away. I averaged 38 viewers more than halfway through January of 2019. And then all of a sudden it was like this stream, they were like 60 to 70 viewers. I'm like, what the hell? And the next one, it just went up. So then all of a sudden it got pushed on me in a certain way that like I wasn't even expecting, of like, okay, well, now you got to think about this partnership thing. I was like, what? And it was also weird because it was sudden, but also I felt like I had done a lot of work. I had put a lot into this. Even before I was streaming, like in terms of music, studying music, it's like that directly ties into what I do on stream. So I looked at at that point, like 12 years or so of formally studying music and being like, well, that's part of the work for me. Like the stuff I'm doing on stream is a culmination of the education and work I put in. And then I was like, I'm going to put time on this and try to be as smart as possible about it. And it started to become more and more of like a reality, which was weird. And then like then it seems like it wouldn't be, and things with like the application process were all crazy, and it was an emotional roller coaster, which unfortunately some people uh, had to take more of the sort of brunt of my like emotional distress more so than other people. But and then it
How
had
about how about okay, I want to know from your point of view, what was it like going through the multiple applications? Like, what was the toughest thing you had to deal with during that time?
sleep. So
Sleep. Wow.
yo Condor, what's up? So man, guys, I had dreams where I would in the dream I would wake up and look at my phone and see an acceptance acceptance
Oh wow.
email, and I would wake up from the dream and I would look over to my phone like it wouldn't be there. But even more so than that, it was like I just felt like it was like constant anxiety because there was no sense of control. That's what
Hmm.
me in thanks Condor. Hey Faith. There was no sense of control. Like I could stream, I could do what I could to like sort of promote myself and keep practicing and making stream improvements. But then it was like I can't make people watch the stream. I can't change the partnership process. I can't even actually like talk to the people. I could only there wasn't much to do, and there was so much waiting. So then it's like you send this application and then you wait and you wait and it's
Yeah.
like and then you get denied, and once you get denied, you know for sure now you're at least guaranteed 2 to 3 weeks. You're guaranteed 2 weeks where you cannot you even if you wanted to, you can't resubmit it. But then it's like you're supposed to wait 3 to 4 weeks to resubmit it. So it's like then so it's like at this moment of getting uh rejected the first time, you know that there's going to be at like basically 3 to 4 weeks plus the couple weeks it'll take them at the earliest to then get back to you, and you still may not get accepted. So it's like, okay, I have to deal with this anxiety now for a month and a half more at least, which then like adds more
Yeah, man.
anxiety.
You know,
And you do it again and you're like,
I remember,
what?
man. I
Shit.
remember us messaging each other.
Yo,
Like,
smash.
do you remember the whole process of just like talking to each other about, hey man, so you didn't get the last application? It's like, yeah, dude, like, I don't know, man. Like, I've done every single requirement. You know, I've even surpassed the requirement. I've applied multiple times, and it's so frustrating. Like, it's like, and then just like Schnaff said, like, look, I got lucky, so I can't say that I had the same experience with Schnaff. I got my partnership on first try, and I think it's a lot to do with me just being in Australia and having less competition. Because Schnaff applies in one of the most competitive regions in the whole world.
Region,
I know,
yeah.
yeah, region and countries. Like the country that you apply from affects your chances of getting partner because you're not the only person applying. There are thousands of people applying, and they have to choose a limited amount of people per group. And that's my assumption. I don't know the exact partnership process. I haven't talked to any of the partnership people, but from what I can tell, that seems to be the case. But Schnaff, we had talked multiple times. He explained to me like, "Hey man, I've hit the average viewership. I've gone way beyond the minimum stream requirements." It's like if he feels like at that point he had put in so much work, and like and Schnaff's the person who never like goes around feeling entitled to things. He wants to earn it, right? But at that point, he felt like he really earned it, and he goes, I don't know what else I can do. Like, what am I supposed to do to get partnered? And really, it just came down to just number of applications. Like, it's I don't know. Like, it seems to be like you just have to keep trying, right? And that's a metaphor for life, which is sometimes it's you got to keep showing up to succeed. So we talked and we talked and we talked, and I said, Schnaff, I'm telling you, man, you're going to get it. Because I got partnered in April as well. We both got partnered in the same month, but he got partnered about a week after me, I think, or like was it a week or two roughly?
It was
Schnaff?
pretty close. I can't
It was
remember
very
exactly
close. It
when.
was very
Mine
close.
was
Yeah.
May 6th, I think.
Oh yeah,
Something like
mine
that.
was April 5th. Mine was April 15th. So we're
Okay,
very
so
like we're going through the same process. Uh, so at that point, what I said to him was this: Hey, bro, look, you're gonna get this. Like we all know you're going to get it. So it just comes down to just holding on. You need to hold on. They're going to give it to you, but you got to hold on. Don't fall apart now. Don't stream any less. You know, I know it's hard to keep the enthusiasm when you get no, and you're like, what do you mean no? Like I've put in the work. Like I've earned this. I've earned it. And then he got it. And when I saw the tweet, I saw the Discord post, I was so happy. I'm like, yes, I know, because I remember our first talk on Skype. I remember our 1 year anniversary call. I remember everything that he told me and how much it means to him to get this. Then he got it, man. And then, funny enough, guys, we were already talking about life after partnership as soon as we both got partnered. Like, this is something maybe other guys might not know about this. Yeah, do you want to talk about that? Like how we actually talked about, hey, we can't be lazy. We need to work harder. We need to stream
that's what
more.
I was saying. That's what I was saying the whole time. It's like, yeah, this is it's a step, and like it can sound cliche a lot of the times where it's like, this is just one step and like one part of the process. But it's like, but it is, and it's not like, it's not the goal. Like, yes, it is a goal, but it's not like, you don't win the Twitch game. You don't get, this verified badge, and then all of a sudden you win the Twitch game and everything just comes to you easily. Even if everything did come to you easily, which it doesn't when you get partnered, like, even if it did, you still wouldn't have, like, you don't win the game. But then even then it doesn't happen. But it was like, yeah, on to the next thing. It's like, well, how else are you going to, like, what can you do to grow? What can you do to make changes and continue find newer, larger goals? And how can you expand what you're doing? Whether it's like the specific game you're doing, the music you're gonna do, the content in general that you're gonna put out, what you're gonna do in life. But it's like, okay, we do this now, like, accomplish that part of it. Now, what's next? Because it was never. I know for myself, and like, I'm pretty sure, like, I can say, without being you, that that wasn't why you streamed. You streamed because you loved streaming and loved speedrunning. And that was just one of the goals that you achieve on the way to, your idea of success.
Yeah, man. I think like what it comes down to is the thing that will keep you going. And this is just ideas, by the way. Like, I'm not going to say like I'm right or anything, but it does come down to loving the process. This is something I kind of like. Schnaff knows my background, so for the guys who don't know me before Twitch, I used to play competitive 8-ball. Like, you have a stick, you have balls on a table, you pot them into a pocket. I used to play at a very high level competitively.
Sorry, I love that explanation. You got a stick, you got some balls, you put them in a pocket. Okay.
Kappa. Yeah, and that was my thing for nearly 10 years, guys. 10 years before, and like, I retired this year. Only this year, I retired from competitive 8-ball. The best I ever did was I made the top 16 in the Victorian state tournament. So I live in a state called Victoria. Victoria is the most, as far as I know, the most competitive state in Australia for competitive pool. And I made the top 16 in the whole state. And our state has like 5 national champions, right? So I had made the top 16 in Victoria back in 2014. It's actually on YouTube. There's actually a YouTube video of me playing. And I lost, by the way. I lost to the Australian Masters champion. He beat me 4-0. 8-ball pool. So you guys might call it billiards. And that was my path to mastery from age 18 till now. I'm 28 now. Still pretty young. I got a long way to go. But that was my passion for many years. And before I got into Twitch, I had an experience. So this is a very, very quick story, guys. And Schnaps knows this story. I've told it. He's heard this story before. But how did I learn that the process matters to me? Or like, why do I love the journey? So there was this competition that I really, really wanted to win. It was on a Tuesday night, and it took me 3 years to win it. 3 years of practicing 5 to 6 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a day, losing every single week. I never won the final. I made the quarterfinal, the semifinal, the grand final, and I would lose every time that I made it. It took me 3 years. And after 3 years of just pure dedication to this one goal. I had an idea in my mind that if I won this competition, like somehow my life would be different. You know, when you achieve a goal or you get the thing that you want, that now suddenly everything's different and you're the person that you want to be. It took 3 years and I finally won it. And I remember being happy for, you know, I don't remember exactly, but roughly 2 days I was very happy. But something happened. 3 days in, I felt completely empty and I was distraught. I could not understand why I felt so empty. I had no motivation. I every time I picked up the cue, I didn't want to play, and I was competing. You know, I was playing on a Wednesday night every week, and I was losing, like losing matches I shouldn't have lost. Like I missed easy shots. Doesn't mean I don't lose. I lose all the time, but I was so shocked that I got the goal, but I felt empty, and that scared me. That lasted for a couple of weeks. But then one day, and so here's the next part of the story. So I have a friend who won the competition on his first 3 tries. It took me 3 years. It took him 3 tries. And I was so like confused. And I'm like, what? And like it blew my mind. And he invited me to go play pool with him on a Friday night. So we went to a bar on Friday night. He brought his cue, I bought my cue, and we played against each other. And for 5 hours, he didn't win a single game against me. And for some reason, he looked me in the eye and he said, I can't beat you, man. And it hit me in the head. It all at once. Oh, those 3 years, like I loved the process of getting to that win. I don't know why when he told me that, because he won it on his first 3 tries, but it took me 3 years to get it. Now, don't get me wrong, he's a very good player. He won it many times after that too. He beat me too. Don't get me wrong. Like about a week later, he beat me like 20 times in a row. I'm like, damn it. But that single night, I went home and I sat in my chair, and for like 20 minutes, I just thought about it, and I said, oh, the journey makes me happy. I like being driven. Like the hunger that I had to go and win that competition is what made me happy. That's why I wanted to win the competition. So every single time I've set a goal since that day, it's always been about the process, because I know that whether I achieve a certain goal, you know, at some point you will get the goal, but then the game's over. The journey's over. And if you don't have that thing that drives you, it actually hurts even more after you achieve the goal. You know? And like that's why Schnaff and I, when we talked about getting partnered, we pretty much promised each other, when we get partnered, we are not slowing down.
Yeah, so many people.
There is
do
no
that.
chance we are slowing down. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them, because we're in our culture, we're so fixated on outcomes. You know, we're so fixated on, you know, let's get this thing, let's get this car, let's get these jeans, let's get this hairstyle, let's get 10,000 viewers, let's make $1 million. And don't get me wrong, all of that stuff is fine. I don't judge. But I think it's both. I really realized, like, this was like 2013, 2014. I realized, oh, I love the journey. So when I started on Twitch and I set the goal to get the 80% world record, partner, whatever, it's always been about the journey. You know, it's always been about the journey. And that is what I think, and I could be wrong, is one way of staying inspired and driven to any goal that, or to anything that you're doing, whether it's music, fitness, your relationships. It's to love the day-to-day process, you know? So Schnaff, I know, like I can see the expression on your face, and I love it, dude. You must be able to tell your version of this, because that was my version. But your version, man, I'm excited to hear yours. Like, you at some point must have felt that too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm similar in that way, where I look for things where I can grow, and sometimes that can actually be bad. Like you gotta be careful with that, because what you can tend to do sometimes, people who are like that, is you jump from new thing to new thing, because you grow so much right away. Like you get a lot of instant gratification when you do new things a lot of the time, and it feels so good. And you're like, I'm doing something new, and your progress starts to slow down. because you're doing everything is just becoming so much more difficult. It's like you doing runs and your PBs are just like minutes at a time, and then it's like, okay, groups of seconds, and then it's like a couple seconds, and it's like a second, and like the most recent PB we saw, you popped off and you PB'd by less than half of a second. And it's like less than half of a second is like, yes! Like that's what you're fighting for. Like how often are you going to be able to, like, the amount of work put in to get a 10-minute PB in the beginning versus like the amount of work and time to put in to get a 0.5 second PB is like, it's crazy. So it's easy for people like us sometimes, I think, to enjoy so much of the learning and growing process that right away it's like there's like that sort of candy. It's really sweet in the beginning, but that doesn't really shape you as much as like the grind of getting past that does. So like,
yeah, man,
you go up and then the plateaus are, well, you hit that plateau and it's like to get past that will take you to really a whole other place instead of always giving up at plateaus, and it's really difficult to do. And I was
what inspired you to what inspired you to push past your plateaus? Like, I'm actually curious now.
Well, usually I've sometimes I haven't, or other things have gotten in the way. Like I used to skateboard all the time, and that was like my number one passion. I would do that hours and hours every day. My friends and I would skate in the rain, even though like it would like ruin our boards, or we'd go in a garage or something. We never even had anything good places to skate, but we tried, and it was like music and like streaming, and even like taking on a game like Ocarina of Time, for example. It's like these are these things that like there's always an infinite number of things you can do with it. You can achieve goals within your journey, but there is no end to the journey. Like you can never be like, oh yeah, I know everything about music, I can do everything. It's like, oh really? You can play every song ever on every instrument? And even then there's more to do with music. So it's like, and that's like, yeah, I hold world record in every game ever. It's like, you don't. Like I can do all the tricks on a skate. It's like, no, you can't. I can speak all the languages. Like you can't do those sort of things in a lifetime. And what I try to do is I try to find sources of inspiration. I try to look back to whatever got me to want to do the thing in the first place. And so that can take various forms. In terms of music, I try to think back to what got me to want to play music, and specifically like what got me to want to play guitar. And it's why I have, well, you guys can't see now, but it's why one of the reasons why I have that statue of Bach there, and like why I talk about him so much, and one of the reasons why he's so important is because like this person had such a profound impact on me that like something he did hundreds of years ago directly impacted the course of my life and changed it and made me into a totally different person. And I owe this person, who doesn't and can't ever know who I am, a whole lot. And so it's like you can either go and look back at that, you can also talk to people and they can help put things into perspective. It's like we're essentially like actually doing that, like, as I speak, I'm kind of doing this. For streaming, I've been struggling a lot. Because I love streaming, and it's really difficult to not focus on metrics. For example, I mean, you were talking about like the viewerships, the nice car, and like money and hairstyle and all this stuff. And it's like, because I do think those things are important, but you can't do it for those reasons. But you can't just neglect those things and be like, no material good. Like, no, I don't care about anything material at all. It's like, yo, you're gonna die. Like, where's your house? Like, where's your food? Like, I know you don't care. Like, I'm concerned for you. And that is
but would you say this, right? Okay, so by the way, thanks for sharing that with me, man, and everyone. I'm pretty sure the chat's really enjoying it, man. Like, I think it's surreal that we're sitting here right now, like talking about this, and even the fact that you're willing to open up about your struggles, and like talking about how you've been going through a struggle lately, whether it's viewership, whether it's metrics, and it's a lot to take in, man. I know how you feel. I remember I had a dip in viewership myself, and I didn't feel like I was doing anything necessarily wrong. Like I was streaming very consistently. I was showing up all the time, but you know, and it can get into your mind, you know, like thinking that you're not good enough,
We
or
get
like you might feel like a failure, even though you've achieved so much. Like you might have a nice microphone and nice lighting and like this great stream setup, and you've achieved so much, but as like in the process, if you don't feel like you're growing, you could feel like you're not making it. And by the way, Liz Vega coming in with the raid.
Liz thing. I had so much fun hanging out in your stream yesterday. This kind of has to do with a lot of this stuff. Liz was talking a lot about her struggles in the past and what music did for her. And man, sometimes we find these things that put us in a place where we can overcome the negative things of the past, and like that means those things end up meaning a lot. So like this is a little different, but this is I want to try to tie in what Liz was saying with some of this too, if I can right now. I think the reason these things like numbers and just music and things with stream in general have such a strong effect on me at the moment is like I don't talk about this stuff in any detail on stream, but I struggled a lot in a lot of different ways that some things I hint at a little bit and some I don't. And I was in a really, really, really bad position in a lot of ways. Not even that long ago. And I just felt like, I mean, Rich, you said it, like, not being good enough, or like things are going down. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I different? Other people, yes, there are some people who are also struggling, but it's like, then there's some people who aren't. So it's like, why aren't these people struggling and I am? Is it just randomness? Like maybe, or my brain tends to be like, well, no, Rafi, you're doing something wrong. What's wrong with you? You're trying your best. And what happens when you do your best, but your best isn't good enough? It's like, doesn't that mean you're not good enough? Like when you actually try and it doesn't work out, it's like, what the hell is wrong? Like you're doing something wrong. Because either you can look at yourself and be like, you're doing something wrong, or the issues with everyone else. And it's like, I always find that to be like hard to accept. It's like, it's just everybody else. It's just not me. It's like,
I feel you, man. Like you're speaking the truth.
Then streaming,
like
I was gonna say, streaming came in, and streaming was finally like, it felt good, and it felt like it was taking me out of this really terrible place, and the place where I could use music and I could do all these things and put them all together and like reach people with this. And so then to see that thing potentially failing and dying away in some way is super scary. So it's just like everything gets multiplied and magnified, the effects, the positive and negative, and like that's really tough to deal with.
I can imagine, man. Like that's why I was paying attention, and like like I messaged you many times during that time, and like I think, how about this? I think this. I'm gonna put a different spin on this. If you didn't go through that, would you have not changed your setup? Think about now, like you now have this new, like a new camera angle. You're changing up your routines. Like you're starting to do new things. You're innovating. So maybe it sounds, it hurts, but sometimes adversity is what you need to lead to innovation. Like sometimes you need that struggle to force you to change things up, because it's so easy to get stuck in a circle that works, and then we end up in a comfort zone.
Yeah, and that's, I would say, absolutely. It would be nice. So the thing with me, and this is what I can struggle with sometimes, is like wanting an answer that I can't have. Wanting to know that as long as I do this work, that at the end of this struggle there will be sort of like a light at the end of this darkness. I will be able to find my way out of the woods. What's really scary is, and what truly makes it like you're like lost sometimes, is that you don't know that's the case, and you can't know that's the case. Like, that's not how life works. You can't
Yeah,
approach this and be like, well, if you make these changes, it's going to be worth it, because things are going to get better. It's like they very well could, and they might not, and you don't know, and like people don't know, and you can only guess. But the guessing
hmm,
doesn't really help so much. I kind of like the only thing you can do is make these changes. But you're right. It's like it feels good to make the changes, and to not get complacent, and to move out of your comfort zone. Um, it's nice though to man, it'd be nice if you could see, if you could be sure that your work would have something, if you'd gain something from it, in the sense that like if you grind something out, or we're on Twitch, if you're grinding out an RPG or something, you get experience. You know that you can put in this time and work. You're going to level up. You're guaranteed, as long as you do this. Like save your game or something. Um, to see your lifelike stats in a game, exactly, Renter Drac. You do this. And you go, I'm gonna put in this work. I'm going to level up. Like, it's going to have this outcome. I know it. It'll be tough, but if I can just push through it, it'll work. It's like, man, it's really tough in real life, where it's like you have to deal with that same thing, but you may not level up. In fact, you may be making your person weaker in some way. You may be, because you may be burning yourself out by not working smart enough or doing the right things. Or things in life sometimes just don't work out for people, and it's like, yo, you gotta have hope in that situation where there's just is no certainty, and it's like your hope becomes at times it starts to feel more like an act of faith, where it's like you got to have faith. You have to say, yeah, there's nothing guaranteeing that any of this will work, but it's really all I can do. And that's way easier said than done, because I know like Claire's sitting there
absolutely.
watching there, and like she's told me those things, and I know it, and but even though you know it, it's like, man, yeah, like really just going like, this is all you can do. Is this going to make the situation better, or is it going to make it worse? Complaining and worrying does not help things out. It's good to be aware of the things that are bothering you, and again, that's how you make these changes, and you look and you're aware of it, but without letting it destroy you, because then you don't reach your goal.
Yeah, dude. Do you think okay, so in this kind of situation where you're going through a lot of like uncertainty in life, uh do you think that the people that you're around like are the key, or one of the keys to like getting through all of this? Because I can imagine trying to do this solo, like not having a support network, not having people, reassure you, not having people give you constructive criticism as well, not just yes men or like people who agree with everything, every single thing you say. Like sometimes you'll have those people who tell you, no, like I think your stream has stagnated. I think you're doing too many of the same things. Like I think you need to, like, do you think that how important is it to have the right people around you in these times?
For me, it seems like it's absolutely crucial, which is why I said this at the beginning of the stream. Oh, I don't think you were there for part of it, but I've said these things before. Um, that people have had an impact on me in terms of streaming, and without a few of these people in particular, they've had like an extra impact, and without them, I probably wouldn't be streaming. It was like Runner Guy got me onto Twitch, you got me to do the music thing, and even though Claire didn't have one of those things where it's like, well, without Claire, I wouldn't be like, she got me to do this. She's been just like a constant source of support, and you've been a source of support. There have been a whole bunch of people, and without that, I really just can't, with how difficult it is to struggle with people there to help you. I just can't imagine a
Just doing a solo,
situation.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine a situation where I wouldn't have given up um by now without anyone supporting. And like the people in the community and even like the people in chat, I don't sort of like, I don't like putting it that way where it's like chat. But I mean, it's like that's, I feel like that's just like kind of the only way to like speak about, or the sort of simplest way to put it. But it's like the people in chat, in Discord, in the community, um, the people around you like really do make a difference, and they really are real people that have real effects. And I think, to go back to like when we actually met in the airport, I think that's a
Wow.
like a human sign of that, meaning um the impact was real enough that two people, if it wasn't for any of this, we would have met and have been strangers. Like, it almost in a sense confirms how real online interactions are and the relationships you can build there and the impact people have on each other. And why someone just, we were talking about earlier, like someone just, disappearing from Twitch, it's like, I mean, you assume they're like doing well and everything, but it's like the person just like disappears. And like, it's not just that the name doesn't pop back in a chat, it's not just a lack of text in this
It's a person.
window.
It's
It's
a
like
real
dude, a
person.
person is like not having that real effect that they had on you anymore. And it's I find it difficult to express these things sometimes, again, without sounding cheesy or having it sound forced, because I'm not the best with words. But I think the fact that I'm still doing this is a sign. Some people may not be able to see it, but the more you've heard me speak, let's say, like, and heard the things I've struggled with, and especially if you're someone like you, Rich, or again, Claire, like some people who I like have been able to text and message for a long period of time, and like I tell you guys things that I don't tell other people, and you see just how very real the struggle is. I think you can see the most how much of an impact you get. I think you get the best appreciation of how much people
Absolutely, man.
have an
I think
impact.
I think everything that
And
you've gone
Dimples,
through.
thank you for the gift sub to Liz
Oh
and
yes,
Warrior
yes. Let's hit
Warrior
the
11
subs.
months almost, dude. Dang, those are crazy. Like, that's crazy. So we're like gifting subs. It's like it's more than the money. Like 11 months of support, even if you can't be here. So it's like haven't been around for a couple of months. Hopefully, I can return to regular viewership once again once the holiday season is over. I hope so too, Warrior. It's nice to see you. And again, keeping up that sub support is like, it's more than $2.50 in my pocket, essentially, at the end of the
Absolutely.
month.
It's people genuinely like showing their appreciation. And here we go again.
Dude, thank you, Bombardactyl. Again, almost a year. Jeez, dude, thank you for the resub. Happy birthday. Thanks, dude. Happy stream birthday.
Like just even right there, that's an example. Like just, and it's not even just about the sub. It's the fact that people want to show that they're here to support you. Show you. Not just say it, but show it. But I'm not saying subbing is the only way to show it. But sometimes it's a simple DM. Sometimes it's a, hey, good luck on the stream today. Like as a streamer, I'm sure you can relate to this. We don't underestimate those things. Coming into the stream and saying, hey, good luck today. How are you? Like that means so much, especially when you're streaming and you're streaming the way that we do. We go through long periods of real life loneliness. This is something that I don't think gets talked about enough. As a streamer, if you are legitimately sacrificing time out of leisure, like going out, and trust me, I fully believe in like having a balanced life. I'm all for that. But there are periods in the year where you need to knuckle down and just grind. That means days on end, you're not seeing anybody. Days on end, you've like barely left a mile radius of your house. Days on end, where you accidentally might wear the same shirt 3 days in a row without even realizing it. Like, because you are so focused on trying to make this thing work that as a streamer, I think at one point I went 33 days without seeing a friend. Because all I did was eat, sleep, stream. Eat, sleep, stream. I've seen Schnapp do this too, where he would go long periods of time
dude.
Like, and I even asked him, like, dude, have you gone out lately, man? Like, he's like, nah, dude, I've been streaming 6-7 hours a day, doing behind the scenes work, working on my overlays. Like the amount of stuff we DM each other, like, hey man, I'm doing this on my OBS. Like, it's obsession, it's passion. But trust me, like, as a streamer, full time, like I recently went full time. Shnat's been full time, much longer than me. Those things matter to us so much, and like it really does. So if I could ever share just from my perspective, Schnaf will tell you his perspective. Coming in saying hi in the chat can keep us going for another 5 hours. Like I'm telling you, like just that one little thing makes you go, you know what? I have another 2 hours in me. I'm not going to give up tonight. I am going to start stream. You know, what do you think, Schnaf? What do you think about that?
Yeah, okay. So there are a couple things. Okay, so what Liz is saying, I will start with that. So we're always going to be tested. And that is so true. So if you don't enjoy this thing, man, I tell that to everybody. Like, I want to start streaming. And it's like, any advice or something? It's like, first of all, make sure you like this. Because if you're doing this to get, like, fame or something, Leilana, thank you for the 100 bits. If you're doing this to, man, because you've seen someone do it and you just want to, like, stream, play games, and, like, yeah, you're just going to get all these people watching you, and it's going to be so sick, and, like, dude, it's going to be so awesome, and I see these people streaming, and it's so cool for them, they just, like, start streaming, and all these people are watching, it's like, yo, that's not going to happen. If you don't enjoy, or some people it does happen to, if you're not going to enjoy this whole thing, then you aren't going to make it. And that happens with everything. It's like, I tell people with guitar, it's like, how was I able to get through, well, I'm just going to do this because I'm closer to this guitar. When I started playing guitar, I'm not a little kid at this point, and I'm learning classical guitar, and I got to sit there for hours going alone in my room in college while my friends are, like, having fun. I mean, I had plenty of party time, but a lot of it was just, like, making sure my finger was in the right spot. Hundreds and hundreds of these every day. The slowest things was like, but guess what? I love the feeling of the string against the finger and the nail and the sound it produces, and the feeling that there's a aspect, like, of the sound in my ears and the way it feels, like this tactile sense that's, like, really, really pleasurable. And that's really important. So that's the only thing that would have been able to push me through hours and hours of just, like, otherwise mindless activity. But, like, if you have and also having a goal, which is, again, like, play a piece of music that I've still yet to learn, but a piece by Bach. And I tell people, it's like, you want kids to learn, you want to learn. It's like, enjoy the instrument you're playing and have a goal of what you want to do. If you want to play guitar to be cool and famous, it's like, I don't think you're going to last, most likely. If you want to stream to become rich and internet famous and all this stuff, it's like, you want to be the next Ninja. It's like, you could be, like, if that's the goal, like, or if that's why you're doing it, it's like, man, I don't think you're going to last. It's just not
I think it comes with time. Like, would you say, Schnaf, like, you didn't come to these realizations way? Like, it was a year-by-year process to get to these paradigms of thought. Like, to have the process mindset, I think took years to get there. Like, you don't start out with a process mindset. Like, you earned that mindset, and you still have to earn that mindset all the time. Like, at all times. Like, it's never over. Like, the game to have that process mindset is for life. Like, it's never ending. Like, but to have that level of clarity on why you do things, I think initially we do start out with a very surface level motivation. Oh, by the way, big donation.
Tasty B, dude, Tasty B, $20. Every little thing matters. Keep it up and follow what you do. If you do your best, people will care and be inspired and follow in your footsteps. Dedicating this to Schnaf and everyone who's given me a place to talk here. Tasty B, thank you. I'm glad you've had a place to talk and just feel like it's okay here. Bud put out a tweet the other day, and it was like, me, LV, and there's another streamer who I wasn't aware of. It's like, life has been really tough for the past few months, and it's like, thank you for providing a place where I can feel better. And it's like, oh shit, like, I didn't even realize that was the case, because sometimes people don't say it, and, like, I get that. But when you do say it, again, like Rich was saying before, even just saying hi, it's like when you do speak up, you can have a huge impact on people. Because I've talked to,
Yep.
like, I feel like there's two different things when it comes to support. Again, for a streamer, um, and I think this also, I feel like this works everywhere in life, but we'll just talk about streaming. It's like the $20 matters, and it matters separately from the kind message that went along with it, and it matters separately from the like added viewer. Like these things, you can't just have all one or the other. I would not stream. And actually, Enup was talking about this. He was talking about whether he would stream because people brought up like the mixer thing, and it's like, would you stream if someone was like some new website you knew you weren't going to get anyone watching, and let's say you never will, hypothetical situation, someone's going to pay you $1 million a year, you can't stream anywhere else, and you're going to stream and no one's going to watch you, but you'll be financially secure. You'll just stream and there'll be no one there. Or you can have a place where you'll stream and you'll never make a penny doing it, but you'll always have people around and it'll always be like exciting. It's like, well, neither of those are good. Neither of those are real either. But like,
It's win-loss in some way or another.
yeah, but if you could have something that's close to like the combination of those two, where it's like, you need people around, but then you need support so that you can keep doing those things. Because if you don't have the financial support, if you don't have the stream support, the stream itself, like, then you can't do that thing that you enjoy. And I feel like a lot of people struggle with that. People who are artists, for example, it's like, you gotta make money doing your art. And if an artist goes and is trying to sell their work, there shouldn't be anything like wrong with that. And it's like sometimes people can have that attitude or that look where it's like, oh, you don't care because you're trying to get money for it. It's like, no, maybe if you went into it going, how can I get money? Oh, I can make art. It's like, okay, well, that's the wrong way. But if you're making art and then you're going, well, how can I monetize this? It's like, those are two radically different things, but they're both
Absolutely.
they're both just so important. Speaking of Anonymous,
Absolutely.
thank you for the 10 bits.
I fully agree, man.
So you guys, you can help some people. You said something about subbing too. It's like, you don't have to sub to support a streamer. It helps. It certainly doesn't hurt a streamer to sub to their channel. But there are a bunch of different. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Sorry, there's just like a bunch of things going through my head. Like during the like partnership process, I never wanted to do like a partner push for a few different reasons. But for one, it didn't even seem like it needed to be a partner push. Like everything I said during that process still applies. So I would say things like, you don't have to sub, you don't have to donate, you don't have to cheer. If you watch, you will support. If you chat, you will support the stream. If you say hi and bye to people, that is huge. People will feel welcome and they'll want to be around. And you will get people who will be in the position where they can donate and they can sub and they can gift out subs and they can cheer. And those people will be able to help in that way. So some people, their like role, meaning what they're able to do and what they want to do, helps that way. Other people can't do that, but they can help in lots of different ways. Even myself as a streamer, it's like, I can't go around and gift out hundreds of subs in every channel I go to and drop huge donations. But it's like, I can support in many ways as possible. I can talk to people. I can raid their channel. I can be active in it. I can watch. I lurk all the time in people's channels, especially if I like really want to support them and I think they could use it. Hopefully also, streaming, not to be too, not to be like, I'm, think too highly of myself, which if anyone knows me knows that's not the case. But it's like the stream, from what people are telling me is what I mean. Like from what people are telling me is that the stream has a positive effect. So it's like, I can't give you money, but I can hopefully like provide you a place where you can feel okay. And you can't buy that thing, which again sounds corny, but it's like, that's not something anyone would have been able to pay for anyway. So it's like, I can't do the monetary thing, but I can try to find as many ways that are in my power to help out. And you guys can do the same thing. And there may be some other streamers who don't agree, who are like, "Yo, just sub to me," or like, "Get the fuck out." Like I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe they think that like I don't know. I don't.
You know what I think when it comes to this topic, a lot of the things that you're talking about, from my perspective, it's a balance between success and fulfillment. Like success is kind of like what you earn and gain through your hard work, and fulfillment is like how it makes you happy and like the kind of impact that you're making. So you got to have both to have a more complete career or anything that you do. Like it can't just be all about success, but it can't just be all about fulfillment either. Like you could be the happiest person and be starving, but you could also be the most full belly person and like have no happiness within. So it's always it's like it can't just be a one or the other game, which is what you're talking about. So I think as streamers, as content creators, and I could be wrong, it is about having perspective on things that are making you successful on the road to success, but also what's also important to you from a values perspective, like what it means to you. Because like just like you were saying before, um, one of the most important things I've ever experienced as a streamer is getting a direct message from a viewer saying that my stream helped them through the worst times of their life. And you've probably experienced this to some degree or like in other ways, but that's fulfillment. Do you really think like I'm only like trying to get paid? It's like no, it's like I mean, of course I want to get paid. Yeah, like dude, I think when we both got our first Twitch pays, we're like, whoa, oh, it's not just like a dream fallacy. Like start a business and now you're a millionaire. No, like we made a couple dollars, like after a couple months. But those direct messages, man, like people saying, hey, dude, like being in your stream, got me through some of the worst days. It continues to add positivity to my life. Those two combined together. And I think having that approach to like, hey, man, let's become successful. Hey, man, but let's also be fulfilled. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be successful. There's nothing wrong to wanting to have abundance in your life. But you can also, like, being abundant doesn't make you like a non-fulfilled person, right? Like you can make a lot of money doing what you love, but you can also make a great impact on people and add value to their day. So I think a lot of it just comes down to just having perspective and just continuing to keep our minds open to the idea that it is absolutely okay for you to make it, but also make an impact. Like making an impact, like one doesn't steal from the other.
Yeah,
You
they're
can do
not
both.
mutually exclusive, and like I think some people maybe put them that way. And I know for me,
And yeah,
I came from a place where I did have relatively speaking like total like financial security and just an abundance of stuff. Although I don't have a lot of material objects, they never really. I kind of just have what I need and lived a pretty plain life. But it was like I was teaching and like had a salary and was doing stuff, and it was just like, but wasn't fulfilled at all. So it was like all the money. I had more money than I needed, and it was like, okay. I almost felt like, I almost felt like I won whatever game it was. Now the game was over. It was like, which may be really like, because maybe there are people who are struggling financially and would do anything just for money. And it can make me feel sort of ungrateful in that sense. But it's like, I was doing that. All I can say, and this I won't get into the details. There are some people who know, but I can tell you, I was beyond not happy. Things were horribly, horribly, horribly wrong. Where on paper, it seems like just everything would have been there, but it was not at all. There was something fundamental, like missing, where I was getting filled with regret and bitterness and resentment, seeing people around me, friends, students. You know what it's like to look at a student and to see the success of someone and be like, whoa, what the hell is wait, whoa, what's wrong with you, dude? Why are you like Why are you jealous of what is wrong with you? This is like some kid who's like doing something great. Why are you, yo, if you don't watch this, and I'm like looking at myself like, yo, if I don't watch this, I am gonna, as time goes by, I'm going to become like the worst person ever if I don't do something about this. Because that was a sign to me that there was something I was doing wrong. Meaning like my path was not correct. Because there were just all sorts of huge signs where it's like mentally and even physically too, it's just like, yo, dude, you're like messed up right now. You're not doing what you need to do. You're doing what you think you need to do. It's like you found a secure job from doing music, which is like, you know, they say like like impossible. It's like, oh, you're doing music. It's, oh, so you like don't like money, or like you want to be a starving artist or something. It's like, okay, so you found your way out of that, and it's like, yeah, but I found myself in a like a pit of hell. Like even within all like having financial security and having these things, it was like totally miserable. And I found myself in that one extreme. So it was like, maybe I need to move towards not try to make it to the other extreme, but move towards that and go like, man, there needs to be some fulfillment. Like this is just not working out. This is not going to end well.
Mm-hmm.
It's going, yeah. And that's,
You know,
yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, thanks for sharing that, man. I just want to say, like, I think your values deep down will always keep you in check. Like your truest values, the things that you truly believe in, and like the reasons why you started, they will always bubble up to the surface one way or another. Like you quite like something inside you said, you know what, this ain't right, man. This isn't right. Like this isn't correct. It could be overcoming fear of success, maybe, you know, whatever it is. But from my take on it, like, I could be wrong here, but I think what happened to you and like what's happened to me many times in my life is a self-assessment of values at the time, at the situation that you're in now. Is the way that you're living in alignment with what you believe in, like deep down, or what you thought you believed in, and now your beliefs have changed? Like, for example, your beliefs around what you deserve in life may have changed, and that friction between what you used to believe and what you should believe now, there could be like an internal war. Like you may never, like, some, let's say theoretically, right, Shnaf, deep down, let's just say you don't deserve to make 10K. Like somewhere deep in you don't deserve to make 10K, and suddenly you made 15, and that completely messes with you because deep down you're like, oh, like I don't deserve 10K, but you made 15. It's like, oh, like, and then there's like this internal tug of war, you know. So I think what I saw and like is your values get reassessed on a very regular basis. Sometimes it happens yearly, sometimes it happens every 3 weeks, sometimes it happens every 7 years. Who knows when it happens? But I think what happened with you is it went from a dream to reality. And now that the reality is here, what are you going to do with it? And it made you question everything. And not just you, like even me, like I, you know, like question myself a lot. Like, wow, it's like I am doing all the things that I said I was going to do. Now are my reasons for beginning still the same? Is what deep down inside me still the truth? Is this still like, what is my internal intrinsic vibe? Like, what is the truth? And if it's not true, I need to work on that. I need to assess it. I need to take a step back and reevaluate. And I think it's healthy to do that. I don't think it's a bad thing that this happened. Like, I know, like, you went through times of resentment and maybe jealousy or, you know, very dark thoughts that you feel like it's wrong to feel this way. But I think, you know what? Maybe this was supposed to happen. So then you can reassess, make better decisions, and then the year moving forward is better than it could have ever been. Like, what do you think about that, man? Like, do you think that maybe, you know, I don't know if you believe in destiny or anything, but like, was this supposed to happen to you then? Like, were you supposed to reassess your values and then make new decisions?
So there are like so there are a couple of things. One, what it certainly did, the one positive thing that came from it is, well, I get confidence from things in life. I'm confident for reasons in life. I'm not like confident That just because I feel like you're supposed to be confident and that's better than not being that way. So it's like, what that means is, or how that relates here is that I sort of got rid of the guilt that would have come with maybe me leaving my job before, because I was in such a low, dark place. Again, that like, I without getting into details, I can basically, I mean, if you want, I've told some people in DMs and some people know, like family, like I feel confident that I can, that what I was feeling was like true. I truly, it wasn't like, oh, I just don't feel like doing this, or I just want to mess around and play music. It was like, this is not good, and I can tell you why. And if you only have enough information, if I just talk to you long enough, you'll go, oh, Jesus, dude, like what the hell? Like, you're like I'm convinced I could essentially show anyone how bad of a path I was on. And so that makes me feel better. I don't have that doubt in my mind moving forward, which is good, because if you always have that doubt, like, oh, maybe I should have gone back to that place. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Like, even if there's doubt now moving forward, because there is, again, I was saying before, it's like you feel sort of lost in the woods sometimes. And like, even if there is doubt, at least the doubt isn't coming from that. That I don't have to worry about. It's like, yo, it was just so clearly bad. It's like, that's moving forward. I know that anything is better than that. And in terms of destiny, so this is, this could be its own discussion in itself, but I thought a lot about this and have for a while, and it's not a new idea, but I tried to think about what it meant to do an action, or to think your thoughts, or to be who you are. And it's like, okay, what the hell are you talking about? And I only believe in destiny in the sense of, I don't think things could have ever ended up differently than how they were going to end up. So that's like the reason I like don't really say destiny or fate, because there seems to be some greater force when it comes to destiny or fate. Like someone has planned this out, or something has planned this out, but it's like, I only look at it as like, with the information I had, or that a person had, in the situation they were in, with all those factors, they made that decision. And they made that decision because of all of those things. And if you were to go back to that point in time, I don't see why you would ever make a different decision. If all the factors were the same, if everything was set up the same way, you would just make the same decision again. So it's like what people think sometimes when they're regretting things, or going back, or like feel like they could have changed something. It's like, that's only because they know what happened now. It's like they look with hindsight. There's new information. It's not the same situation. They wouldn't be going back to that same situation. So it's like, yes, I'm very much like a determinist in that sense, and I've yet to find a way to not have that be the case, aside from the sense it's like, well, we don't have the sense of life being deterministic, so maybe that's actually a sign that things aren't deterministic. And it's like, okay, this may all be like, it's like, okay, well, now you're just getting lost in this like philosophical thing, like what the hell is the point of this? But for me, it's actually helped out in a lot of ways, in the sense that it's helped get rid of regret. Because if you accept that, how the hell can you regret anything? There's two major things. Like, how can you regret anything if it's like you were going to do that? You were going to do that. In a certain sense, you should have. It's just like if you were to go, you look at, maybe you go through a green light and someone goes through a red light, you couldn't have seen them, and they hit you, and it alters the course of your life. Maybe you're like permanently injured in a significant way. You go, I wish I just didn't go through that green light. It's like, what do you mean? You can't have regret about going through a green light. All the information you had, you're supposed to do that. That was the right thing to do in every other situation. Now going back, knowing that there was some weird anomaly, like there was something that's not typically there happen, you go back and you regret that you regret that you went through a green light. It's like, that's not how that works. But also it helps for me with forgiveness for myself, but more so with others because I'm really bad at forgiving myself. But which I feel like kind of makes me a hypocrite in this sense. But I'm
Forgiveness
trying.
takes time though. Like you don't forgive yourself instantly. Like you have to have like for like like my view is like you need like logical thought and evidence too. Like you're not the kind of person who just blindly goes into a belief. You like to see things from a rational point of view, right?
Yeah, and it's not on purpose, which again is kind of what I'm talking about. Like I don't try to do this. Like people don't try to do this. It helped me remove hate from the way I look at other people's actions and thoughts and beliefs. And I think it can be really helpful for people where it's like if you realize that people did things, they were in a position, events, a whole bunch of events led up to why people did things. And like you can still hold people responsible and actions can still be bad, but you can just know that there are reasons that it happened. If you don't understand the reasons, then that's exactly the situation. You don't understand the reasons, but it doesn't mean the reasons weren't there. And it's never as simple as just, well, this person's bad and I'm good.
Oh, for sure. Like
This
we
person's
we
dumb.
can't
I'm
marginal it down.
smart. They're wrong. I'm right.
No, yeah, we can't do that.
And so it's helped me be. I mean, Skater came in earlier and was like, "Would you be friends with someone who's a flat earther?" It's like I would. Like, and that works in a lot of different ways because like I know there's a reason why they're at that place right now and why they're thinking it, and it had to be that way, and it's like there's I if I don't understand, I'm like, you're just too dumb or whatever, and I don't understand why you do it. It's like, well, I don't understand, so maybe I should try thinking about it more. Which is why in all of this ridiculous stuff I always do on the stream, where I'm essentially like making fun of people who don't even know who I am. I don't even know them. I'm just pulling up videos and making fun of them. It's like, for one, I'm just having fun, but deep down, as I'm doing this stuff and joking around, I'm actually like really trying to think about what gets them there. Why are they doing it? Even if it's someone as ridiculous as that person on American Idol, or maybe it was X Factor, that dude eccentric, who's roaring like a cat and being all ridiculous and taking off his shirt and being like, he's the next Michael Jackson stuff. It's like, yes, he's absurd and it's so easy to make fun of him. Like, you can make fun of it, but it's like, there's actually something way more serious going on that it's not fun to talk about, so we're not going to talk about it. But it's like that stuff happens everywhere. And being
For
where
sure,
I only wish I could do that with be as kind to myself and as understanding of myself as I can with other people.
You are getting there. Like I think it's good that you have a high sense of self-critique because it means that you want to grow and it means that you want to keep improving. Because I don't sense any complacency from you. Like if you take these things so deep to heart, then I think it's a good thing. You know, like why wouldn't it be a good thing to not to the point where it's like impossible for you to be happy? You know, like you don't want to get to the point. You don't want to be too crazy. Like, I'm never satisfied. You know, nothing I do is ever good. I need to keep working forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And I'm never ever gonna be happy. It's like, nah, dude, that's just crazy. No, like, I think you should pat yourself on the back along the way. You know, like you have achieved a lot, man. You know, like at the end of the day, like this is a 2-year stream anniversary. 2 years. Like think about this, right? Here's one thing that I think about a lot, Schnaf. I think when it comes to patience, we're very patient with traditional systems. What I mean by this, most people are patient to go to school for 12 years. Most people, you tell them, oh, I'm going to study a degree for 6 years. Then I'm going to work 2 years as an intern. I'm going to work 2 years in my, position one. And then after 13 years, I'll become a manager. But then you tell them, oh, I've been streaming for 6 months and I'm not making it. Like, isn't there like a weird dissonance there? Like with traditional systems, we're willing to wait 13 years to get a promotion. But when it comes to like this creative business or entrepreneurship, 6 months is suddenly infinity. Like, what do you think about that? Like patience, traditional versus self-made? Because I really think about this all the time, which is why can we be so patient with traditional long-standing systems, but we've been streaming for you and me have been streaming for less than 3 years compared to a traditional pathway. Compared to a traditional pathway, I think we can get a little bit overboard with our assessments. Like, I think sometimes we overthink things. Like, I think it's also beneficial to have simplicity too. Like, not too simple, You should be critical. You should think philosophically. But I also like to have real comparisons, which is how long did it take for people to get a medical degree? How long were they an intern? How long were they a resident? How long were they before they became an attending? So oh yeah, that's the whole medical field, by the way. Basically, I'm not in that, but like if you think about somebody who's an intern, they've went to medical they got their bachelor's degree, they've got their they went to med school for 4 years after getting their bachelor's. So that could be an 8-year study period, right? Then they'll be an intern for a year. Then they'll be a resident for 2 years, and then they become a doctor, like an attending doctor. A person who becomes an attending could take 14 years to get there. 14. And if you said that to the regular view to most people in the world, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's normal. But if you tell someone, oh, yeah, I'm going to make it in streaming in 14 years, it's suddenly, what? That's so long. Like, what? Like YouTube 14 years? Like, that's too long. But traditional pathways, you can have that logical pathway. So what do you think, Schnapp? Like, I think this is a good topic. I think a lot of you guys might be interested in this. I think about this all the time. Like, why? Like, what's up, guys? Like, what's the deal with this?
So Count's bringing up the main thing I was thinking of. And this is what I meant by like having that sign of that things will be okay if only you knew that your work was guaranteed to bring you some positive results. So it's like I had one of my best friends studied to become a pharmacist, and I lived with a bunch of pharmacy majors, and like they just plain old vocalized their reason for their drive and ability to focus and work. They're like, dude, we're all gonna get, they'd be like, y'all study for 6 years, I'm gonna get at least $100,000 guaranteed after that 6 years. It's like that goal is so clear and it's so solid and so real to them that it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna get paid. And it's like, we're gonna be guaranteed to get paid, like guaranteed as much as you could guarantee anything essentially in life in terms of a job. So it's like there's going, if I just do this, I will achieve this. And so it's, I think, a combination of the certainty of the goal being, the success being able to be achieved, and then also streaming is so streaming and online things are weird because it's new for one. So you can't have, there aren't people like, you can only have worked a certain amount of time and then made it on the internet. Like you, but then even then it's so, yeah, the online ecosystems, like Count said, are like, they're both fragile, but also like people just blow up in a second. It's like, oh, if I haven't blown up, like the people who seem to make it a lot of the time, not all the time, but there's like, you see stories like, well, it's going to take someone like going viral and then they've just like made it. And if you don't, like, well, sorry, like it's just not going to work. And so people are like, what am I doing? What am I going to do differently that's going to change this thing? How am I going to go viral? What's going to happen here? And you can only support that for so long. I mean, I'm wondering if someone said, you will, but okay, you're going to stream for 14 years, or you're going to stream and you're like not going to make any money for 6 years. But after 6 years, you will have this thing where you'll become a Twitch partner, but the Twitch partner actually like means something way different. It's like actually like using the doctor analogy here. And it's like, but then you're going to start to get paid. You're going to do this streamer residency thing. You're going to get paid, and you're going to be like
streamer residency.
in 10, 12 years or something, you will be making $100,000 and you will be you will be doing this thing you want to do. Like you will. And even if the platform changes, so it's like it's moving from a different hospital or practice, like a new platform will come up, it's okay. You will be able to go to whatever platform you want, and you're going to be getting $100,000-$200,000 no matter what happens. Like, oh shit, you get maybe more people like going like, I'll keep grinding. I got 0 viewers. It doesn't matter, because within this amount of time, I am guaranteed something's going to happen. And by that time, I'm going to be guaranteed this thing. But it's like, it's not guaranteed. It's just not guaranteed. And it's like, oh my God, like, So you got to work in this place where it's like,
Yeah, man.
how long can you go? Like 6 months is a long time of working, not having any guarantee that your work is paying off. How long can you work without seeing any any fruit for your labors? Like what do you? No, I'm just gonna keep going. It's like you have no sign to see that things. Maybe you have signs that things are getting worse.
Yeah, man.
It's like and then you're gonna keep working. Like how many people are gonna do that? In the face
Yeah,
of
dude.
everything looking bad and still no guarantee, and things are just everything is telling you things are getting worse and it won't work out. It's like, no, I'm gonna keep doing this. Like what the like what?
But
Actually,
isn't that just the reality though, Schnapp? Like this is the responsibility you take on when you try to make it on your own. This
yep.
is like whether you're a streamer, YouTuber, business owner, musician, artist, like the person with the most responsibility, and like it's all on you. Like that is one of the hardest things to comprehend, because like when it's not all on you, you have the safety net. And but you probably feel the pressure of not having a safety net. Like the only guarantee you have is the effort that you put in that may not always pay you back. You will probably put in a 7 hour stream and get 3 bits like that day. Like 7 hours for 3 bits. Damn, man, that's tough. Whereas there is a traditional pathway. You put in 7 hours, you get $17 an hour. Like, oh, isn't it so tempting, isn't it? So I think it's like we put it into perspective, like, hey man, if you're gonna do this, this is the thing you have to take on. By the way, shout outs to Anonymous for the 3 bits.
Yeah, Anonymous is giving some bits here. Also, I mean, oh, dude, Count just. I was in the process of typing. I didn't want to like monka ass to that. That can be discouraging too. You see people. Some people do that. Where in stream, I mean, he's making the analogy to just streaming, and it's like, come on Twitch and they start stream and have like laptop camera and like mic and like nothing, and they're just sitting there, and it's like, oh well, wait, this is neat. There's like how many? I don't know, 200-300 people watching me. Oh, this is really cool. This is fun. This streaming thing is fun. It's like, fucking.
And you're sitting here after 3 years of grinding with 63 viewers and getting trolled, and people trying to hack your account and forgetting passwords. And
dude, it's like,
but
this whole doctor thing.
But I think that's one of those things we have to just see in life, is that other people just get it that way, and that's not us. I learned this many times. I remember going to university, right, Schnaff? And I had a friend who got a $40,000 car bought for them and had their university fees paid for them, whereas I'm going into debt and I had to take the bus to school. And I don't judge, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I don't think that coming from privilege is a bad thing. Like that's just their life.
Dude, that's
fine. That's fine.
Like all awesome. About that.
Like, their parents worked hard to get there and put their children in a place to be as successful as possible. Beautiful. That's just not us. We don't come from that. And I don't judge. I do not judge. I think any is fine. Any pathway is fine. Like it's okay. Like I have friends who came from, like I remember like staying at a friend's house who lives in a mansion with a swimming pool and a pool table he's never touched. And that's normal to him. He's like, oh, hey dad, can I get this? How much is it? $3,000. Okay, sure. And I'm like, if I asked my dad for $3,000, he would 3 hours straight tell me like, are you crazy? And like all that stuff. So it's like, look, at the end of the day, we all come from different backgrounds and different pathways, different different levels of income and stuff. But like I think one of the things that I learned that helped me so much, and I think it's different for everybody, and I could be wrong, but just accepting that this is my plate and I'm gonna make the most out of what I have. And if I live in a paradigm of comparing myself to people who had it that way and I didn't, I'm never going to win. I'll never feel good about myself, because how can I compare to someone who came from that, who came from, $1 million income family? That's okay. Like that's awesome for them. They're still one of my best friends. We talk all the time. But that same person messages me and says, I don't know how you're so motivated. I don't know how you stream 6 hours a night. I don't know how you hit the gym every day. I don't know how you get up so early. I have a hard time getting out of bed. Sometimes having it given to you doesn't give you the opportunity to be motivated too. I think that being in this situation, as hard as it can be, is my competitive advantage. Like I think it's your competitive advantage too. When you don't come from things given to you, and that's okay. Like I said, I'm going to iterate this 1,000 times. If you have had things given to you, beautiful. I think it's good. That means you should work harder than me because you have it easier than me. You should work harder than me. You have 1,000 viewers. Do it. Like, why aren't you making 100 vlogs a month? Or no, not a month, a year. Why aren't you? No, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
why aren't you putting it's like, oh damn, like
yeah. Why don't you have a blog? Why don't you have a Shopify store? Why don't you have an Instagram? Why don't you have a Twitter? Why aren't you grinding harder than me? You have it easier than me. Because I think that coming from a place of humble beginnings, if you have the grit and the heart and determination, it doesn't always work. Doesn't always work, man. The failure rate of business is what, over 99%? And we're not even talking about stream. We're talking about just small businesses. If anyone can get the statistic, what is the likelihood that people fail business within 5 years? It's like 99%. Right?
I feel like it's somewhere around. I mean, those are the street statistics I've heard for that.
Me too. So it's like, this is why I make the case for that. If you come from humble beginnings, and I'll say that we've had it a lot easier than other people who don't even have computers, who don't have laptops, who don't have internet. There are people that don't even have internet. Like we're going deep, man. There's countries without internet. Like we can go so far into this conversation. But if you have the absolute minimum that you need, then your competitive advantage is the fact that you're hungry. That's what I think, man. That's what I love.
And you can make it puts you in a different position. And so I think what Ben's saying, because this was something I thought, and maybe my interpretation of what you said is wrong, but the way. So Ben's like, why do they need to work harder and accomplish more if you start from more? They don't have to do anything they don't want. I mean, for one, no one has to do anything. I've said that before on stream. It's like, yo, you literally don't have to do anything. In fact, you can literally just lie down and like you can die. Like you don't even have to live. Chill. Like you don't have to do anything. What I do think, at least the way I've thought about it, I thought about this actually a pretty long time ago when I was young. There was always something that hit me as really wrong. When my parents would always say, like, well, someone has it worse than you. It's like, something about that didn't seem right. Because for one, I could always go, well, someone has it better. But there's like this idea, like, if you start out farther, like, maybe you don't have to work as hard, but it's like you're the same amount of work. It'd be nice to like, okay, you started out here, you could do nothing, and maybe you're happy with that, and like, that's cool too. And I'll reiterate what you said about like, there is nothing wrong with any sort of privilege, whatever, any sort of good well-being. The idea that you'd like look down upon someone who's wealthy just because they're wealthy is like, I think that's really nasty.
It can be judgmental, man. Very judgmental.
Dude, it's super judgmental. Like you don't know what there was, man, that school I used to work at, again, this was part of it too. There were some nasty things going on. It's like, there was one kid, it's like, goes to a rich private school, all this stuff, just like, oh, like, gets good grades, is like really athletic, speaks a bunch of languages, like super smart, all this stuff. Oh, so lucky. Well, he had it. So he's like, well, guess what? That kid, both of his parents died when he was like a little kid. How lucky and how fortunate and privileged is this kid? Because he had money. It's like, you're gonna rip on this kid? You think he wouldn't give that stuff up to have his parents? Like, what kind of, like, I don't want any of that. I hate it when people do that. And like, so these things are, and when people are talking about this thing, it's relative, and a lot of times people are talking about on average, and it's like, the person, like, I would go to school with people and they were privileged, but guess what? These kids were pushed so hard. They were pushed so hard because they were expected to learn multiple languages, play multiple instruments, take all the best classes. If they didn't get into a good Ivy League school, never mind just like an Ivy League school, like they had to get into like the best school ever. Relatively speaking, because of where they started, all the expectations were higher. So none of them were like, oh, you graduate, hey, you made it out, you graduate. It's like no one cared. They were expected to graduate. They were expected to do that. And that's kind of how I interpreted your thing, Rich. That's like, well, if you start there, you're going to have to work not necessarily harder, but like get the things where you would work harder. I don't know. You can do a lot more.
Yeah, it's just like, end of the day, dude, it's like whatever plate you're given, whatever plate you start with, well, I use the analogy plate, it's always your own choice. There is no like the truth is like us trying to make it as streamers and Twitch partners and like this is why I think this is a great conversation for a 2-year anniversary. Because imagine 5-year anniversary. I can only imagine what we're going to talk about by then. Who knows what where we'll be by then? Like, do you remember a year ago us talking about where will we be? Did we know we'll be here? Like,
No, there's no way. That's why I was like,
no, like that's why I think this is a good conversation, because it's like we don't know. Like there is no guarantee to where how things pan out. Like a year from now, you and me could be doing something completely different that we never even realized. Like you could be training to be a firefighter. Like I could like be a bodyguard somewhere. Like I don't know. Like, but what I do feel like intuitively is that the day in front of us, we're gonna make something of it because that's what we want to do. That's motivation. That's inspiration. That's caring about the day in front of you. And sometimes it is really so simple. Like I remember, like in my own stream, like people asking me for advice. By the way, imagine Schnapp being a firefighter. Me and Schnapp become firefighters.
I run into like an
Twitch
IRL
firefighters.
backpack into
IRL
a fire.
Twitch partner,
the,
firefighting.
the camera on the thing.
Yeah, POV head cam, me and Schnapp just running into a fire full speed, trying to save lives. Oh, thank you for the 3 bits. Oh yeah, hold on, I gotta get up this ladder.
Curse lit in chat, boys. Like,
like, but isn't that like you just don't know? So it's like I think one of the most beautiful things is when you wake up, just solve the problem in front of you. Like I was gonna say this, like there are sometimes I have people come into my stream and they'll ask me a very philosophical question, like what am I supposed to do with my life? And sometimes I will talk for like 20 minutes about life, and sometimes I'll say something like, pick up that cup that's on your floor that's been there for 7 days. Clean your room. They're like, what?
The Jordan Peterson of it.
Yeah.
Clean up your room. Clean your room.
Like it's like the whole point is like sometimes you need to solve the basic thing in front of you, which is go have a shower, man. It's like you're trying to solve this philosophical problem in your life, but you haven't showered in 2 days. It's like,
how do I
shower?
World peace and end like world hunger and stuff. It's like I don't know.
I want to solve world hunger, and I'm like, dude, you need to solve your trash can. Like
you say, dude, you're a mess.
Yeah, it's like, dude, it's like sometimes you just have to do that. It's like sometimes it's go solve the basic thing in your home. Like go make that phone call. Go call your accountant. Like start being practical, and then the philosophical things make more sense because you're not coming from a place of pondering. You're coming from a place of practicality, and I think that can be very empowering. Like, do practical things. You've been eating junk food 7 days in a row. You've been eating junk food. You've been hitting the KFC. You've been hitting the Burger King. You've been hitting the Taco Bell. Like you've been Uber Eats. And don't worry, I'm not dissing Uber Eats, but I use Uber Eats all the time.
Oh my god,
like so much Uber Eats, dude. But what I'm saying is like sometimes just do basic things. Like I remember I was going through a really rough time in my life many years ago, and I had a mentor just tell me, she's like, I was talking to her and I'm telling her about my most philosophical problems in life, right? Like, oh, I don't know what my existence is going to be 13 years from now. You know what she said to me? She's like, dude, you need to buy a new shirt.
For about 13 years, like...
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, I'm like trying to figure out where I'm going to be in 13 years. She's like, you need to buy a new shirt. I'm like, what? And like, it just jolted me. I'm like, what? And she's like, I've seen you wear that shirt 3 days in a row. And I'm not saying like there's nothing wrong with wearing that shirt, but maybe you just need a new shirt. Like she just simplified the crap out of my thinking. She knew what she was doing. She was very smart. And then like all it did was interrupt my pattern. That's all she was trying to achieve. And she even explained to me later, she's like, hey man, just like you need a pattern interrupt. Like you're so in a circle of thought and pondering and things happening that... Did she also say you need a shower? No, not that time. But basically it's like, hey, it's like, Sometimes you just need to get more basic things done during your day. Then think about your philosophical things too. You know, sometimes a little bit of momentum can change things for you. Like maybe just go to the gym. Like I love answering these basic questions. Like sometimes, like I have a lot of friends who like will have a conversation and like they're telling me these really deep problems, but until they solve these basic things in front of them, these deep problems aren't going to get solved either. At least with basic practical things, you can actually do it. Like I can't answer the question, you know, is Schnaf going to be the most successful streamer 5 years from now? I can't answer that. But for sure, he can change his lighting. You know, like he can invest in, you know, a second mixer. He can you know, add a new sub alert, and then once you just get back to earth, get a couple of things done, then go back to your thinking. And I think that's what helps me a lot. Like the perspective I want to share is practicality has its place too. And I'm not saying only be practical, never ever think about the future, don't have a vision, don't think deep and like, you know, and have deep thoughts. But it's so nice just to get shit done. You know, like that's helped me so much this year. I would say compared to last year, I'm so much way more productive than I ever was last year when it comes to content creation. I'm able to put out a vlog every week. I'm able to put out 20 to 30 pieces of content per platform on Snapchat and Instagram. I started doing TikTok as well. Like I'm able to do all of these things 5 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever, because it just comes down to being practical. You have 24 hours in a day. You need X amount for sleep. You need X amount for streaming. You need X amount to do this and study and work. And then you have X amount to innovate. So when you can combine both vision and practicality, I think we increase our chances of things happening for us. What do you think, Schnapp?
For sure. I mean, you mentioned like the momentum. So there's like two things. There's the momentum aspect where it's like, or part of that where I find myself getting stuck sometimes when it's like just do one thing at a time, or like people say is like take it one step at a time. And sometimes my sort of response to describe how I feel is like, well, I'm going one step at a time, but life is going 2 or 3 steps at a time. So it's like I may be moving forward, but it's like I'm getting farther away from the thing that I'm looking to achieve. Things are piling up faster than I can take care of them. Now, doing one thing or taking one step, even if things are piling up, they're not piling up as much as if you don't take that one step at all. So again, it's like that's the worst case scenario where you just don't do anything. But like finding that momentum is important, and doing little things are important in terms of momentum, but also just like making sure you have a solid foundation. Again, with going back to like, how are you you want to make a profound change in the world? It's like, well, what power do you have to make that change? Like who are you? Like what do you have? What can you have an impact on? And there was someone I was ranting like a week or two ago about this person who was like, this is what every NPC streamer says. And one of the things was, you know, talking to someone in chat, like focus on yourself first, like focus on you. It's like, what a shitty thing to call someone out for saying. It's like that's just so true. Why would you ever sort of like ridicule someone for saying what a totally like good thing to say to someone who's struggling, and like it's just so true. Because like, okay, focus on yourself, because right now you're struggling and you're trying to save humans from like extinction in some way, but it's like you have nothing. Again, you're just like in your room and you have no power to make any change, and the room itself is dirty, and it's like, well, you can do that and then you can get a job and then you can actually have some money and you'll have more responsibility and more power and more influence, and then you can build that. Maybe you can get into politics, or maybe the thing you're doing for your business, maybe you're Elon Musk. If Elon Musk didn't do the things he was and he was still the same person, but just Elon Musk, like you can't change the world. Part of his power comes from what he's achieved. And the power, like he can make a significant impact on the world because he's focused, maybe not necessarily on himself in like a greedy way, but like he's focused on himself and he's built things up. It's like people are trying to be a crutch and a support for others when they're just like, I think of it as like, they're like a crutch, like, here, let me help you. It's like, dude, if I lean on you, you're going to break. And then as soon as you do, I'm going to fall down and crash too. And we're both going to be in a worse place than we start. It's like, you got to build yourself up because you are like, you are helping nobody right now. You're just way too like, essentially like in this sense, like you're way too like weak in this sense. You need to build yourself up and like gain some strength and power or something. You're not making any impact at the moment.
Yeah,
and
man.
that's why I said, so I changed. And I feel like the reason I think it's important is because we tend to get told the opposite. Now I think there's a case for this where people say, don't worry about stuff, like focus on others and that'll make you happy. It's like, yo, you better be careful, because yes, at times you can find strength in yourself by helping others, but like there's a reason why I felt like it was so important in the song I wrote, I Only Know, to change the advice that comes at the end from, it used to be focus on others instead of solely on you. That was the original thing, because that's why it's like focus on others, not you're just focusing on yourself. And I switched it afterwards. After that advice didn't work for me in real life, it was like focus on others only after you focused on you. It's like you have to build yourself up first, or else you're no good to anybody. It may make things worse. They may lean on you for all sorts of support, and you start not having the ability to do it. You're not making the right decisions. You're not guiding them to make the right decisions. And it's like, yo, do that. Build up momentum, build up power in the best sense, build up responsibility, strength, confidence by doing things, and like by doing small things is a good way to do it.
Can I say something, Schneff? Like,
sure.
You know, just to like sum it up, because I will have to leave. Just to let you know, we'll have to leave soon. But dude, talking to you now, like let's talk about stream anniversary right now. Talking to you now, compared to when I first started talking to you, you're like a completely different person now. Can I just say that in a very positive way? I think you're completely different than back then. I'm sure you've never heard me say this to you before.
No, I mean, I'm
gonna tell you right now. Do you know why I think you're different? It's because everything you said right now is things that you used to ponder back then. It used to be a theory to you. You have taken care of yourself. You have done these things. You did go to, was it Berlin?
Yeah.
Yeah, you went to Berlin.
TwitchCon, yeah.
Like, you didn't go to Berlin 3 years ago. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have done the things that you set out to do, and you learned so many lessons. Like chat, like I'm gonna talk to the chat as well, guys. You remember Schnaff's early streams when he had 3 viewers? You remember Schnaff's 7 viewers? You remember Schnaff 12 viewers? You remember Schnaff affiliate? Look at Schnaff now. Look how much, like this is a grown man you're talking to, by the way. It's like he's a kid. Like this is a
I know
man.
I act like a kid.
I know, but like I literally like was 1 foot from him, like asleep, and he was asleep. Like we've been in the same room sleeping and like talking, and like we've had these conversations in person, but like I met him, right? And even now, compared to July, I've seen growth in Schnaff. I really, like, before I go, like, I really want to congratulate you on growing, not just as a streamer, but growing as an individual. Because to say the things that you're saying now and still have a lot of logic to it, and not just hairy-fairy, like, fluffy advice, like, woo, you know, yeah, be confident.
You say it,
like,
it just sounds nice.
Like,
yeah, it's just like, okay, those are words.
Even to this day, you still don't do the feel-good thing. I mean, you definitely do the feel-good thing, but there is truth to what you're saying. So I just want to let you know, like, from friend to friend, streamer to streamer, you know, viewer as well, because I watch your streams too, is congratulations, man. Well, congratulations on getting to where you are now. Like, you have worked your butt off, absolute butt off, to get where you are now. I have seen you from day one, from Skype call, telling you, Schnapp, like, go, guys, if you watch our last conversation, I actually said this. I said, Schnapp, when we had our first call, I asked you to do me one thing. Just do it. Just take action. No matter what you do, I don't care what you need to do to, you know, you got to figure it out. You got to get your OBS set up. I don't care. Just take action. I want you to stream. I want you to stream your music. I said this to him. Go look at the other interview. I said that as well, and I'm going to say it again. And guess what? He did it, man. He did it. And that makes me so happy. You know, and like, oh, I witnessed it from every stage of the way, whether I was involved or as an observer from the distance. Because look, as fellow streamers, we can't always be there for each other. Like, when I'm not always in his stream, he's not always in my stream, he's not always watching my vlogs, I'm not always looking at his posts, but we do keep an eye on each other. It's like, hey man, like, I think this, I think that, but look at him, man. Everything that he said today in the stream, for me, is proof that he's grown. And I wouldn't just lie about that. Like, I think like the level of insight that he's gained from all this streaming and all this content creation and traveling and building a solid community and like working on his viewership, and even now still talks about his struggles, and like he never once claimed like he has everything sorted. Like, hey man, like my stream's perfect now. It's like 100 times better than a year ago. Like, I have no issues. Nah, he's like, nah man, I've been struggling recently. Like, he went 20 minutes straight talking about his struggles. I remember a couple streams ago he was talking about his struggles. Like, he's still keeping it real. And I think that deserves congrats, man. Like, it's hard to stay real. It's so much easier to put on a facade and act like you got everything together because people look to you as a role model for having things together. But I think there is power in being true. So, you know, I just want to say, you know, thank you for everything that you do, man. And congratulations on 2 years streaming.
Well, thanks, Rich. I appreciate it. It's nice to know that people can see that. I guess is like maybe just the only thing I can ask for directly is like, it's like because I do struggle with a lot of stuff, and I try. Yo, man, I struggle between like, do I put on that facade? Like, because who wants to be around someone who's just like, you know, maybe they look at it as like whining and complaining or something like that, or like I try to not do that because I don't want that to be how things are. I don't want that to be the stream. Like, I don't want that to be what I am, but like it just wouldn't be real to just be completely like, oh, everything's fine all the time. And like it also, I think it does help to be positive, and I've noticed you do this a lot where it's like you'll be positive and you'll act positive. You've been much better with this than I have by like a million times, where it's like no matter what struggle I haven't seen, I try to watch your stream as much as possible. It can be hard sometimes because the time difference, but it's like I've never really seen. I feel like I show it on stream more, and I shouldn't. Like, if you've had these struggles in terms of, you know, stream growth or something like that, but like you don't like your stream has been like, dude, going crazy recently. I see what's good. I see stuff. I see stuff like you may not start at like, dude, every stream I see just like, dude, your viewer count just like for one just like climbs. It never stops, dude. It just never stops. It just keeps going up. Like, and like just more people have been active, more people have been subbing, more people have been around. You're like, you know, like they were talking about you signing, like who would be the people to like sign the OT like Legends controller thing. Like we need Torch and Skater and Joden and RichardSage and all that. It's like, yo, like
putting me in the conversation, man.
Yeah, it's like getting the time you have, man. Putting in the numbers and all that stuff. It's like, yo, things have been going like have just been going up.
And I can tell you from my perspective. Sorry, I hate cutting people off. If we'll sit in front of each other, this will be. Yeah. I don't know exactly what's caused like the recent explosion. Like, TikTok. But I will say this. Maybe. I would say that I was taking the actions that could eventually let that happen before it happened. Like, I showed up to my streams 3, 4, 5 hours a night. I was putting in 2-3 hours practice off stream. I was putting out 20 to 40 pieces of Instagram, Snapchat content a day. I was on Twitter morning till night. I was on Discord morning till night. I was like all the behind the scene things that you don't see, like that people don't see enough, and that's normal. Like, we see the product, but we don't always see the process. So it could just be luck. It could just be the fact that maybe I'll put the word world record title in my title. Like, sometimes it's the most basic thing. Like, oh, I put going for world record. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But I've tried a million things. And I just respect the process. Or try to respect the process. Like tonight, I could have 1/3 of the viewership I had last night. And actually, you know what? I want to talk about this before I go. I usually get a lot of questions from new streamers, people who have just started or have been streaming for 3 months, and they tell me, dude, I can't break above 5 viewers. You know? And I swear, I tell them this, and like, not all the time, but like I say it in different ways. But I'll tell you this. I say to them, it was easier for me to get 10 viewers in 2017. Like, versus now. Like, if I started now, I think I would be in the same boat as you. That's what I tell them. I'm like, I had 2.5 years on you to grow my stream. You started now. So, and another thing is this, like, here's another thing that I really want to think, Schnapp, like, maybe this might even, like, be valuable to you at some point. But the question I often get is, why aren't people watching my stream? And I'm going to say this, right? So I'm going to break it down in a couple of ways. Number one, a live stream demands that a person pays attention to your stream in the first place, meaning that they are watching you or either or not engaging in chat. It is a live interaction platform where people are paying attention for long periods of time. Try and find any other platform that can do that. No, I haven't seen anyone, sit in a lecture hall for more than 5 hours on a daily basis. I get bored in a lecture. Like I went to university, you went to college. Like I got bored after 36 minutes most times. Now, let's compare it to YouTube. Can you watch the same YouTube channel for the next 5 hours straight? You're probably going to pause it and go for a walk, right? So the first element of the nature is that a live stream is a place where out of every possible choice of content, they could be not even content. They could be going out. They could have just gone out to dinner, life. Like they could be out with their girlfriend. They could be out with their boyfriend. They could be asleep. They could be in the shower. They could be taking a crap. Like they could be walking their dog. They could be, like drinking beers at a bar. There are a million different things that somebody could do than watch your stream. So let's say you have an audience, and like right now we got 100 viewers on your stream. Whether they're actively watching or not, they could be lurking, but those 100 people could be doing something else. So the fact that somebody would be willing to give you their attention in any form in a live stream for hours and hours and hours and hours and end is crazy to me. That's what blew my mind about Twitch. Like I remember watching Skater for like 5 hours straight. I could not think of one platform that could keep my attention for that long. Plus live interaction, plus all these emotes and shit. So why aren't people watching your stream? There are a million reasons why someone's not watching your stream. They could just be, maybe tonight they don't want to watch music. Maybe tonight they want to watch Pokemon. Maybe they want to, go to sleep. Maybe they want to go see their friends at a bar. And you as a streamer, and us as streamers, we don't have control of that. Or here's what we have control of: our stream schedule, the time that we stream, the content that we put out, and the level of marketing that we do, like Instagram, Discord, Twitter, whatever it is. We do everything possible to invite people to watch us, but ultimately it's up to them. So I want to give some comfort to people who are trying to grow. Like if you're wondering why you're not getting 30 viewers a stream or 70 or 100, it's because even people who do watch your stream, they're not there tonight. Was there something that you did wrong? Like, it's not always the case. Like, okay, maybe I did get boring at one point. Maybe I was playing Fisherman's Horizon every intro for like 3 weeks straight and they got sick of it. Maybe, right? What's up, Skater? But I'm telling you, a lot of these factors have nothing to do with you. I really, truly believe that. Maybe the Fortnite Series Grand Finals on that night. Maybe the NBA Championship is on. Maybe the UFC is on that day. And that day, those 30 people want to watch that instead. So you can't take that to heart for them not watching you that day, for not being in your stream, right, Schnaff? It's like the outside factors matter too. Like, don't just think it's always us. Like, there's two and two together. There's the streamer, there's the viewership. And the viewership has lives. They have lives. They have things that they're doing. You know, like everyone has different things they do, of course. But I think that matters. One thing that really helped me in life was realizing that so many things have nothing to do with my growth. And so many things do. My job is to focus on what I do have control over. Have a stream schedule, show up on time, present myself as best as possible, innovate my content. By the way, Skater, I'm going to be leaving soon anyway, so I don't know what Schnapp's doing, but imagine you went on Schnapp stream. I don't know, whatever Schnapp wants to do.
Well, I'd like to do stuff. I don't know if Skater's kidding. I mean, like,
wouldn't that be amazing to have Skater come and talk? You know what I mean? But like, how about this, right? Like, before I wanted to give Schnapp and you guys is, if I can just leave you with anything, is that we should have a little bit of perspective on things that are outside of our control. Like, I remember thinking like my viewers were bored of me at one point. Like, I'm not interesting enough. I'm not getting enough runs going. You know, like, I can't get runs past Gim, so they leave my stream. And then I go and talk to that viewer, and they said, oh, my mum's in hospital. That's why I wasn't in your stream. You know, and you're like, oh. He's like, I would have loved to be in your stream, but I had to go look after my mum. I'm like, whoa. Doesn't that give you perspective? Like, you're thinking that you're... But they just have something IRL happening. You know, like something really important. Oh, I'm studying for finals. I can't be distracted. If I watch your stream, I'm going to fail. Like, oh, my girlfriend told me off for watching you instead of hanging out with her. Like, you know, like something so silly. You know, like it's like perspective is so important. In fact, do you guys ever read books? I don't know if you guys are into books or audiobooks. A really good example comes from a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And he talks about the lens of paradigm. Big words, big fancy words. Basically, he gives an example where you're on the train, right? And there's a parent with their kids, and the kids are going crazy. They're going crazy. They're jumping up and down. They're making a lot of noise. And after 20 minutes, you've had enough of this. So you go to the parent and say, "Hey, excuse me, you know, why don't you tell your kids to like be more quiet?" And the person's like, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure out to tell them that their mom just died." And then you're sitting there going, oh my God. This entire time I'm thinking this person's an irresponsible parent, but the mother just died and this father's trying to figure out a way to tell the kids that the mom just died. Perspective. So very, very deep example. I don't want to try and like make people feel bad or like feel sad, but perspective is so key when it comes to like content, like streaming and like just seeing things from another angle. And that's why I really appreciate Schnapp. I'm going to bring it back to Schnapp. I'm always going to bring it back to Schnapp, guys.
I never know what to do when that happened. Oh,
it's like, but it's like, I'm bringing it back to Schnapp is that no matter what is going on with my streaming life, when Schnapp and I talk, he always gives me another way to look at things. That's the power of having friends. That's the power of having community. That's the power of having people on your side who can give you a different perspective, who can challenge your way of thinking. Like, I remember, I don't know if Schnapp, you want to talk about this, like maybe we don't have to talk about it, but I gave Schnapp some constructive criticism lately. Like,
yeah,
if you want to talk about it, like before I head off.
Yeah, I didn't tell them who, but I was talking with some people, and it was you specifically. I was like, yeah, why are fewer and fewer people showing up to the beginning of the stream? It was getting down to like there'd be 2 people, maybe there'd be like 4 viewers or something. At one point, it was like 10 minutes into a stream, there were literally 3 messages from 2 people, and it was like, and Rich was like, "Well, you've had the same intro for like forever, so it's probably overplayed." And I was like, okay, I mean, like, fair enough. Like, I don't know how it's like I'm different. I wouldn't show up to a stream or not show up because of someone's intro, but I'm also not everybody, and in fact, I'm very different from most people. So like that, you can't just go, well, what would I want or something like that. Like, that doesn't work because these other people aren't you. And so you have to look, and again, it was like, is this something I control? So it's like, let's change it up. I mean, I don't think it can really hurt to do, so I'll do something different. So that day, I put on a t-shirt. All right, Skater, take care, dude. Thank you for hanging out. I'll see you later. I would
Cheers,
actually, dude, I would love to talk with a bunch of people from all sorts of different aspects of life, even off Twitch too. Um, but yeah, enjoy work. Um, and so it's like, I went on, I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to just start the stream. Stream's going to start and it's just going to be me there. Like in the beginning, something in the beginning. And also I just wore a t-shirt just to wear it. Just like the shirt was different. It's like, although I don't, God, I would hope that like clothes don't matter that much, but maybe they do. Because people are always like, he's got 6 shirts.
He had the same 6 shirts on rotation. You know?
But
that the key is like you did something different. And like even now, like the big change was changing the angle of your camera and your setup. I thought that was great. I love it. Like me as a viewer, like I've seen the same angle for like a year or 2 years straight. And then a new camera, you got the professional camera, then the camera like you facing more to the left, and now you're facing more to the right. Like little tiny adjustments can make a lot of difference, and maybe they don't make any difference. But I do think, similar to the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the first habit is being proactive. Proactive means to take initiative on things. You know, like to go ahead and take initiative and do something about it instead of waiting for something to happen. And I think now, look at here, like we're having a great 2-year stream anniversary. I think our depth of conversation is so different compared to the conversation a year ago. Like we talked about like deep stuff back then, but I feel like ours is a lot more grounded now because we have another year of experience. Like I'm really enjoying this, and like I've had like 2 hours sleep, by the way. We had weird temperature last night. I wasn't able to sleep. Like I've had 2 hours sleep and like I'm exhausted, but I really like Schnaf, and like I'm like, you know what, man, I'm gonna be here for him. I promised him I'd be there.
I appreciate it, man.
That's okay. Like it's all good, man. Like number one, I believe in to the best of your ability, keep your promises. That's a value of mine. I don't always keep my promises. Like I try not to break my promises. I always let people know in advance. But I do think it's important to, if you say something, do it to the best of your ability, or at least let them know in advance that you can't make it. But I promised I'll be there. So, and yeah, I'll just say like before I leave, you know, I think, you know what, we did this last year, and how about we do it again in 2020, man. You know, it's about to start. We're not too far away, man. Who knows what's going to happen in 2020? I do not know. But I do know this. I would love to go to Summer Games Done Quick again and hang out with you.
Dude, I hope so. I'm pretty sure I'll be there. I can't imagine what will happen where that won't be there. Like, where that won't be the case.
Yeah. Like, it's like, but I'd love to. Like, I think a lot of it comes down to just having a vision for what you want. But you kind of just do your day-to-day thing, don't you? It's like, I want to go to America next year. I want to get the 80% world record in Ocarina of Time. I want to grow my stream. But I'm also going to do my thing day to day. There's only so much I can do per day, and that's all I can do. You know? So I think whereas like last year, like we talked about, dude, man, imagine 2019, like, you know, it could be the year of our lives. And I still think like that, don't get me wrong. But I think we're at the point now where it really is just day-to-day grind. We got to do what we got to do. Turn up, grind. Turn up, grind. You know, there's things out of our control. A million things we're juggling at once. Innovation. But what do you think, man? 2020. Do you see yourself being just that, you know, consistent hustle? Like, what do you see, man?
I'm sure I'm going to be hustling and stuff just like I have before. I don't know for 2 reasons. One, it's like I don't see why I wouldn't. I also enjoy doing it. I mean, one of the only reasons I stream less because I thought it'd be a good idea. like not for me. I mean, you guys know I can stream for like too much, and everyone was telling me
insane stamina to stream. I've seen you stream like hours. Like what the hell?
If people are here, I get like infinite energy. I told you it's like streaming. I'm like very closely connected with the energy of the stream, and I don't mean that in a, you know, weird metaphysical way. It's just like a bunch of people are there, or like raids come in, it's like oh, a bunch of people, and everyone's like, oh, we want to hear this, and like doing stuff, and people are laughing, like showing videos and being ridiculous. Or I'm like ranting about something or whatever. It's like I will go forever. I'll go forever. But if not, then it's like the opposite is true. It's like I'm trying to carry on for just like, year. I just read 2 years. Talon, thank you for the 9 months. If I'm just trying to care, and it's like, man, things just like, oh, it's so tough. Just like, because you have to be like on all the time and be engaging because you don't want to bore people, and you want like it's much easier to feed off of people than to do it all on your own.
For sure, man.
But
I think, I just think like, I think you're gonna do it, man. I don't know like when you're gonna reach that next, level in your stream or like whatever you're trying to do, right? But I do think that the journey to get there will show you a new side of you. That's my prediction. I think you'll get in a year from now, you're gonna discover another side of you that you didn't know before, or like you thought you knew, but now you see it differently. This is what I think. I remember just out from our Skype call saying, "Hey, man, I think a year from now you're gonna have a community. You're gonna have people that show up to your stream all the time. You're gonna be playing your guitar. You might even try like a second instrument, and like it all happened, you know, like it all happened. It all happened, man. It all came true. So maybe I could be wrong, but I do think that you're going to see yourself differently a year from now. I don't know specifically what it is, but I think it's going to be a good thing. I think when we do the 3-year anniversary talk, it's going to be another conversation to see.
Well, yeah, I think that in terms of specifics for that, if anything, like in terms of streaming, it'll be like, I want to feel more comfortable and do more things that are not music related, or at least specifically playing song requests. Don't ever stop playing the guitar. I was
brand expansion, man. Oh, dude,
yeah,
we could talk all day and night about like the future,
so,
like, dude.
But that would be, and I mean, I've mentioned that before. It's like,
yeah, we'll keep that out of the scope today. Like, this is just to celebrate, just have a couple of conversations. But yeah, man, I think the Schnaf brand can definitely go beyond music. How many people in the stream today? Like, we barely talked about music today. We talked about life. We talked about things that you deal with as a human being. We talked about concepts. We talked about traditional systems versus like entrepreneurship, basically. Like, we talked about being a streamer. We talked about speedrunning. Like, we're talking about things got nothing to do with music, yet you still have over 100 people here hanging out. That's a sign to me that you can go beyond music and just being like, there's nothing wrong with doing song requests and like, having your music set, but hey, man, like, yeah, like, why not? Why couldn't you? Like, what if you made an audiobook? What if you wrote a book? Imagine you recorded an audiobook called The 7 Principles of whatever. Who knows? Like, what if you and me turned this into a podcast, an ongoing monthly series, and like that became our thing? Suddenly we're known as podcasters. People don't even know that I'm a speedrunner and that you do music. They imagine like people could not even know our background, think that we're podcasters.
That happens a lot. I mean, that happens a lot. That's why it's like I've seen big people who it's like, well, they come from doing stuff. It's like old school RuneScape, or like World of Warcraft, or they're doing something that gets them there. Then they go beyond that, and that would kind of be the goal. It's like to open up more possibilities of things to do. Like, and I like that it can just be discouraging. You have to build up a strong community of people who appreciate you regardless of what you're doing, and having other people around who are like that helps. So it's like you can go and like look at videos or analyze. Like, I'd like to do more gaming things and even explore or like analysis of music and stuff, and even speed running things without me even doing the runs, but just like explore it more with people and share it. But it can be difficult, especially if you're in a vulnerable place at the moment and you're like, oh, maybe
for sure.
like maybe I shouldn't open myself up even more. I'm already vulnerable. It's like, no,
it's okay. It's like, I think it's nice to have like an idea. You got to deal with the day ahead of you, right? So anyway, I think that's it. So I've got to get some rest. But thank you so much for having me on the stream, and congratulations, man, on streaming for 2 years.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for the congrats. Thank you for coming on, and yeah,
thanks
dude, I appreciate it.
Thanks for making me feel very comfortable and like to talk about just things in life.
And if you guys haven't noticed the thing at the bottom of the screen, that is Rich's link, Richard Sage. Go follow him on Twitch for more stuff like this, along with speed running, and then even maybe more in the future. So
yeah, dude. Thank you for the shout out. Thanks for having me on. A great stream for the rest of the night that you're having, and thank you everyone for having me on. Maybe we'll see each other again in the future. If not, I hope you have a wonderful 2019. Have Christmas, New Year's, whatever things that you celebrate. I hope you spend time with the people that you love, and I hope you guys just have a great 2019, and let's enter 2020 with the best spirits. So thanks, Shnaf. I'll see you next time, brother.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
And I'll probably see you IRL in about 7 months.
Yeah. All right, Rich. Take care, dude. I'll see you later.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Peace out, dude.
Peace.